Hey guys, it's your best fight friends. I'm Kelsey. That's Rachel. Rachel, I have some breaking news for you.
Do you?
I do. Unified heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua and lineal/WBC champion Tyson Fury maybe are going to fight. That's right. The news here is that probably they're going to fight maybe later this year sometime. And that's the breaking news. This fight, both of them are pretty sure it's going to happen. How excited are you, Rachel?
This is a really big fight for boxing. The other thing is that this is how boxing works. Fights tend to get promoted for some time, even before they're made. Like it's not just your normal training camp level of promotion, but we get it for a long time. Now, what I hear from you is that you're tired of how long it's taking and you're starting to doubt if this fight will ever happen.
What I'm saying is what you said, the key word is works. This is how boxing works. I would say this is why boxing doesn't work. How many doesn't work? That's right. Doesn't work. How many times do I have to read the same story about this fight maybe happening later and maybe this place or maybe that place? Just tell me when the fight is going to happen, whether you're going to fight or not, and be done with it. By the time this fight actually happens, the biggest fight that could happen in boxing, it's incredibly important to crown the first undisputed heavyweight champion since Lennox Lewis did 20 years. By the time that happens, there will already have been a slew of other big fights in different organizations, namely in the UFC, will have made tons of fights. I just want the fight to happen. Just make the fight happen. Just tell me when it's going to happen and stop telling me that it maybe happen.
All right. I don't like how you compare boxing to UFC. I think it's like comparing, all of global baseball to the MLB. It's not apples and oranges. So I really it irritates me.
Well, it's too bad, Rachel, because the point is that to the American consumer and the global consumer beyond that, people are sick of reading about negotiations of fights and people want to see fights. And that's why the UFC has become one of the biggest organizations in the world and continues to grow, and why boxing keeps losing ground to it. And I don't like it. As a lifelong boxing fan, I want to see fights. I want to see the biggest fights, best fighting the best, and I too often don't get that, and in lieu of that, I get to read about negotiations that I don't care about.
Well, I would say
I'm frustrated as a boxing fan.
That I agree. We've been hearing about Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua for quite some time, and if you throw in there when Wilder was in the mix, we heard about all three of them, so it's been a really long time. It's been years that we've been hearing about that, so I completely agree with that. Boxing, it's just the sport of boxing. It's globally set up, but not under any single organization. So it just happens all over the world. And I would argue that there's some pros to that. I think because say we do what you want, well then we're going to have some overriding organization. Like the MLB became over baseball, or how the NFL became over American football. And so if we do that, well, what is it going to be? Is it going to be global? Because boxing's very, very global. Hugely global. I don't think that that's even possible. We're going to have some kind of global organization that comes over. So then you start talking about, okay, well, just for the United States. Well, there's a lot of cons to something like that coming about. And so I understand the frustrations with boxing. I think there is actually, while we wait on bigger fights to happen, and I would say the only reason this fight, if we're using this fight specifically, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, I would say the global pandemic had a lot to do with the delays in their fights that had to come before them fighting, and then them fighting as well. And so I don't really want to hold them or the promoters entirely responsible for why this fight hasn't happened right away.
Sounds like excuses, Rachel. I know that
I'm going to cut them some slack.
The UFC had to deal with the pandemic as well.
Again, it's apples and oranges. UFC has complete control over their bubble of things going on. So they can do this. They can make fights. It's a
and I'm
completely
saying
different
all
thing.
I'm hearing is excuses and
You know,
not seeing fights.
The matchmakers at the UFC don't have to go out there and like work with promoters and different promoters and promoters that don't want to work together.
I get why. I'm saying
and
it's
they don't
broken.
have to go over to, Showtime, ESPN, DAZN. They don't have to. There's so many things at play, so I just don't like the comparison. Now, wanting boxing to improve, yeah, I think boxing, the various outlets could improve in the way of, let's talk about and promote other fights while we wait on these really big ones. Because I guarantee you, there's been other entertaining fights, but they don't have quite the same feel. Because if you're a consistent boxing fan, you tune into various fights and you get gifted with some amazing fights out there, but nobody had heard about it. So I think there could be much better done in the area of promotion.
I'm saying I looked at Boxer. You remember the last time Tyson Fury fought? October 19th, 1984. Okay, I was 5 years old back then, guys. I want to see Tyson Fury back in the ring. I want to see him fighting Anthony Joshua. And minimally boxing. Minimally just working on that stuff behind closed doors and quit telling people to write stories that this fight is going to happen. Because I've read the same story now over and over again for the past 12 months and I'm sick of it.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's I don't know. I agree with that. So the only thing I was arguing with you about is I don't like the comparison to UFC because it's a completely different thing.
And
it's unfair.
I guess like what I'm saying is that's too bad. I did the clapping thing.
Hey, let us know what you think. Who's right, guys?
Whose side do you stand by? Whose side are you on?
You've come to a fork in the road and it's time for you to choose Kelsey or Rachel.
I feel like I will lose that pretty significantly. But if that's the way you want to be, then that's fine. I would probably pick you too.
One person wouldn't because they find me annoying. They will not pick me.
But it'll be weird because I will have picked you. So
Now
that person will just be alone. Like
they're going to run into an issue, though. What if they actually agree with what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
They just find me annoying.
That's
and
a real
so now,
Sophie's choice. It's not.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.